These are the biggest names in Dynasty Fantasy Football, and these are names that are not performing at the level you needed. You drafted them here in Dynasty. Bijan, Waddle, A-Rich, ETN, Rashee Rice just got hurt, Garrett Wilson, Sam Laporta. What on earth do you do with these guys in Dynasty Fantasy Football? Luckily, we play Dynasty Fantasy Football, so we're going to tell you what you should do with these guys.
We do.
We're going to confidently tell you. I'm going to confidently tell you what to do with Bijan because I know. I know what Bijan's going to do.
Yeah.
But let's not beat around the bush with Bijan. Two things can be true. Number one, there are a lot of bad takes going around about Bijan Robinson right now. Because from a talent standpoint, I think he is a top 5 most talented running back in the NFL, and I feel like that's being conservative even still. But let's be honest about what his ceiling has been since he's been in the NFL. Last year, his first 2 games, he went over 20 points. Okay. The rest of the season, he went over 20 points twice more. Okay. So far this season, no games over 20 points. So you're looking at his entire career so far. This is a guy who's supposed to have elite upside because he's not only being drafted, he was drafted at the 1-2 turn this year in Dynasty. He was drafted at the 1-2 turn the year before in Dynasty. And in redraft, he was drafted in the first round both years. This is a guy that should have elite production upside. And you can say, yeah, well, he's a 22-year-old running back. So it doesn't really matter if he's producing right now. No, it does.
Don't you expect running backs to produce right away? Like that's what running backs are known for. They're supposed to if they're as elite as a guy like Bijan.
Because if Bijan is your most heavily invested player on your Dynasty team, it does matter he's not producing now because this is the second year in a row now that we've seen him not produce. It's bad. It's also why, and it does contribute to our thesis that you really shouldn't be taking running backs in the first 2 rounds of fantasy drafts. Pretty much ever. In Dynasty drafts, specifically Dynasty Fantasy Football. But with Bijan, I do think you have reason to be patient here. This offense has been a little bit rougher than I thought it would, to be honest with you. I think that they're going to get better as Kirk Cousins continues to get better. On the flip side of that, what you saw in week 4 from Bijan and his split with Tyler Algier it's got Dynasty managers like me and Nathan, we're having flashbacks right now. We got PTSD because this is Arthur Smith stuff. Is Arthur Smith secretly calling the plays for the Falcons?
Ooh.
Because you did notice Cordarrelle Patterson did go out of the game on Sunday. So when he lost Cordarrelle, did he just decide to go inside and start calling plays?
He just
for the
called
Falcons?
up Zach. He was like, hey,
take Bijan out.
Algier, he's a pretty cool guy.
Get him out.
Just shot him a text.
The thing about it, he's like, Bijan, take him out of the game. So, we got the ghost of Arthur Smith, but the usage in the first 3 games, 89%, 75%, 82%, and then down to 64%. Am I worried about Bijan Robinson? From a talent perspective, okay. I'm not going to lie. I'm worried about Bijan Robinson. Just a little bit. Are you worried about
worried.
Bijan?
Heck yeah, I'm worried.
Tell me why you're worried.
And here's why I'm worried. There are so many running backs right now that, unlike Bijan Robinson, in worse situations, are producing. And they are contributing to you winning your Dynasty championships right now. Bijan Robinson, I'm not saying he doesn't have the upside to do that this year. He just hasn't demonstrated it through the first 4 weeks of the season. What I'm worried about is that if you hold on to Bijan Robinson right now, I know that he's going to be worth less at the end of the season than he is now. Part of this is due to his disappointing production. A lot of it is next year's running back class in 2025. I think the running back landscape in Dynasty Fantasy Football is going to be shook with the 2025 class. The rankings are going to be all over the place. You're going to have a bunch of rookies that are automatically going to be top 6 because there's so many running backs that are aging out that are the most productive right now. Breece Hall, just coming off of a goose egg. You've got Bijan disappointing. You've got Jahmyr Gibbs, who's been 3 straight weeks, been outproduced by David Montgomery, right? And I think with Bijan, I don't see I don't want to say I don't see a scenario where it happens. I think it is more likely than not that he probably goes early 3rd round in Dynasty drafts next year. And I think he's priced higher than that at the moment. I think there's a lot of Bijan believers right now. And I don't think you're selling low on Bijan because I don't think he's lost that much value in Dynasty. Because like Avery said, there's a lot of people that are giving him an excuse right now. He's 22 years old. We didn't expect him to, be super, super elite right out the gate. Yes, we did. And he has not. And again, he can still get better this year, but at the rate and the trajectory that running back is going right now in fantasy and in Dynasty, like I want no part in it. I'd rather have an elite wide receiver.
And so what we're setting ourselves up for essentially right now is a repeat of our infamous Jahmyr Gibbs take last year. So
this is a little different though.
Different, though.
We're not going off and saying that like Jahmyr Gibbs, we're not freaking out because Tyler Algier had more carries. What we're saying, we're trying to make a smart move here from a value perspective and a volatility perspective. You are so much better off if you just go get Puka Nacua plus.
Well, and here's the thing,
right?
Like, and this is why it's different than Gibbs, honestly. With Bijan, I'm not going to lie. When Nathan was going to finish talking, I was going to say, I think you just hold Bijan. He's lost enough value to where you can just hold him. And he's going to go back up in value, which is still true. Again, keep trade cut sucks. I'm going to preface with that. But you do have more than 60% of the Dynasty community. We're trying to bring that number down using keep trade cut as gospel. And then I got on keep trade cut and I'm like, oh yeah, Bijan's lost value. But then I'm like, I looked at his overall because he said early third, and I'm expecting to see early third. He is the 12th overall ranked player on Keep Trade Cut. 12th, which means you can trade Bijan. Okay, here are the guys. And again, this may not be accurate, and may not be accurate for your league. And you might say that, and that's fine. You obviously can't take this actionable advice if it's not accurate for your league. But if it is accurate for your league, you're doing it. Because if you can get Amon-Ra, boom. If you can take
automatic.
If you can get Jamar Chase or Marvin Harrison Jr., boom, you take them. The value insulation alone, but then the proven production from all three of those guys so far. Going down the list here, if you can get Nico Collins,
that was the one guy that I was going to bring up. Boom. Would you rather have, in a vacuum, value aside, would you rather have Nico Collins or Bijan Robinson? I'd rather have Nico.
In a PPR league, it's not close. So if you can get
you're getting plus.
If you can down tier to Gibbs, yeah, he's stuck in a situation where you're like, oh, and he's actually maintained his value. People aren't freaking out about Gibbs, so people are smarter than we were last year. But if you can get Gibbs plus, I'm doing it. What Gibbs has more upside than Bijan, or what he's shown, and he's in a better offense. AJ Brown plus, doing that. Puka Nacua plus, doing that. If you're contending, Saquon Barkley plus, doing that. Garrett Wilson plus, doing that. Rashee Rice plus a lot, I'll do that.
Don't come back and dunk on us when Bijan Robinson puts up 20, 25 points because again, we expect him to. We still do. This is a market play, and this is us just saying that we would recommend that you down tier, right? This is not the Jahmyr Gibbs take of 2023 when we said, sell low because he's only lost a little bit of value, right? That's kind of the point. Bijan hasn't lost value.
And again, it's guaranteed that Bijan is going to flash at some point again. Yeah. I'm not worried. I'm not worried about Bijan in the sense that I think you could hold him and keep your value.
We already said we're not worried about him from a talent perspective.
Not at all.
He's incredibly talented.
And again, I think, but is Bijan going to be more valuable than the 12th ranked overall player in Dynasty Fantasy Football League?
With the direction the wide receivers are going in Dynasty right now, how many of them there are and how many points they're scoring on a weekly basis, I don't see him being more valuable than the top 8 to 10 guys.
If he was valued even half a round lower than this, I'd be a little bit more iffy about it. But again, you can sell and basically at no risk.
Right.
Some of these guys around him are just as value insulated or have higher upside. So Bijan is a guy I think we would say shop, sell if you need to. But obviously, if your league mates aren't valuing him, you have to hold him. So
Jalen Waddle's our next guy here, and this one's a lot easier, I think, to navigate. It's very, very clear why Waddle has lost so much value. He has not produced, and Tua's career is admittedly in limbo. He has said that he's going to come back and play. He's on IR, obviously, consulting his neurologist and whatever. But it is so funny how much crap Tua gets, and yet when he's not on the field, they are absolutely horrible. The Dolphins are. They need Tua to be like a well-oiled machine and be as explosive as they are. He does work very well within that offense. And Jalen Waddle is definitely a guy that reaps the benefits of that from a production perspective. And when Tua is not playing, Waddle is kind of just a dynasty name that you're hoping will eventually produce and get back to his second-year production. And he's not going to do that again in year 4. So we are now by the end of the season, we're going to be 2 years removed from that wide receiver 1 season from Jalen Waddle. Yep. And you know what's going to happen? Undoubtedly, Tyreek Hill is going to turn 31 and Jalen Waddle is going to maintain his value. In fact, he's not going to just maintain. He just signed a $30 million a year contract with the Dolphins. He's probably going to go back up in value.
Correct.
This to me is a no-brainer. This is also why I was kind of lower on Jalen Waddle to begin the season, because I figured you'd be able to get him at more of a discount mid-season when he had dud games like this. I thought you'd be able to get him cheaper later. This is now the time. You can get Jalen Waddle now, especially if you're a rebuild or a reload. Jalen Waddle is incredibly safe to invest in right now because you are always going to have truthers in the Dynasty community that believe in Jalen Waddle and his upside because he has shown it before over an entire season. And as Tyreek Hill gets older, Waddle's just going to go up and up and up and up.
Yeah. If you have these guys on your Dynasty team as well as other guys on your Dynasty team, we give you specific sell targets and specific buys for your Dynasty team on our team blueprints. We give you our 3-year outlook. We give you your team archetype. We give you your positional grades. The whole shebang. Everything you need to make calculated moves to your Dynasty team that sets you up for success in the future so that you're winning your leagues and winning money. We do that with our team blueprints. You get one for free with the annual Motherflocker tier when you use code DOMAIN on flockfantasy.com/domain. Links in the pinned comment, links in the description if you want to go over there and get a membership. You can also buy blueprints if you don't want to be a member of the site, you don't want the rankings, you don't want the trade calculator, you don't want the My Teams, that's fine. You can just buy team blueprints. We can do one for you. We have done thousands of team blueprints now, and we would love to do one for you as well. So like I said, flockfantasy.com/domain. Let's get back to it. All right, let's talk about a guy where the main thing I have to say about this guy is, because this
wasn't doing it justice.
This directly impacts my well-being as a Colts fan. So here's why Nathan and I are stupid. Here's example number one. Is because Nathan and I went into this year for Anthony Richardson in redraft, and we were like, you know what? We don't really like Anthony Richardson's price in redraft. We're not going to draft him here. We're not expecting that much out of Anthony Richardson. So the question that we probably should have asked ourselves at that point is, why do we have him in a $250 Dynasty league? Why did we not sell him? Are we that boneheaded?
Better yet, why did we not draft Kyler Murray over Justin Herbert?
Yeah, whatever, Nathan. You're taking now to have that discussion? I'm in mourning.
I know, and I still can't get over it.
Whatever. I think that's the least of our issues right now.
Let's come together and let's crap on AR.
Okay, so Anthony Richardson, number one, not good at football. I'm saying this as a Colts fan. I'm saying this as somebody who wants Anthony Richardson to be good more than anything, because I want to win a Super Bowl as a Colts fan. I was 7 the last time we won a Super Bowl.
Guys, here is the truth. Here is the truth. I'm looking at the wrong camera. When Joe Flacco stepped on that field in week 4, I enjoyed watching that offense more. They were more explosive overall. And he looked like freaking Aaron Rodgers while Shane Steichen was dialing up plays for him because he could actually throw an accurate football. You cannot play quarterback in the NFL if you cannot accurately throw the football consistently. And that's something that we expected, to a fault, clearly expected Anthony Richardson to get better at when he had an entire rookie season, almost an entire rookie season of being on the bench because he got injured, and then an entire offseason to work on those issues, and for Shane Steichen to coach him up. Clearly, none of those things have happened. Clearly. Continue. That's just
So with Anthony Richardson, and this is something where it's like, okay, we told you to draft Anthony Richardson coming into his rookie year because we knew he could maintain his value because it was rushing upside, and we were right because he's gone up to the first round, and he really shouldn't have been drafted there last year.
Yeah,
he snuck into like the late first pretty consistently last year, and so you look at his production, and he's got 27 points in week 1. We're like, let's go, we got this. Anthony Richardson, even if he sucks at football, he's still good. And honestly, after week 1, people were talking about Anthony Richardson in the MVP conversation. Oh,
that ticked me off. I was like, did you even watch the game?
So then you go to week 2, and
9 completions.
Anthony Richardson goes from 27 points to 12 points. And you're like, oh, okay. Well, he did still have 37 rushing yards. So you have the rushing upside, but it didn't show this game because he's playing a tough Green Bay defense. But next week, they got the Bears. 7 points. Wait, hold on. What happened to he's a rushing quarterback, and so his floor is going to be higher? Where is the floor?
Where's the rushing upside?
Where's the rushing upside? In the last couple games, he scored 2 points and 4 points from rushing. You're telling me if this dude doesn't get a touchdown, he's got as much rushing upside as Bo Nix? Holy cow.
That is something that I truly did not expect.
And Bo Nix came back down to earth this last game in terms of, because they bottled up their entire offense.
But AR's rushing upside or lack thereof is, I mean, that's a heck of a surprise. It's pretty staggering. Yeah,
it's staggering. And the other noticeable thing, you mentioned this, is the wide receivers got instantly better as soon as Anthony Richardson was
instantly
off the field. That's not a good sign.
They were more versatile as an offense.
Now,
maybe that's debatable, but they could actually throw the ball.
I'll quit soapboxing here. He has lost approximately 35% of his value according to Keep Trade Cut.
He's a hold.
You have to hold him.
Yeah,
you
gotta hold him.
You can't sell him. This is the. Oh, am I doing this? This is the the sunk cost fallacy, right?
Oh my gosh.
And you're going to have people telling you to sell Anthony Richardson because of the sunk cost fallacy, and that you're just holding on to somebody who's not going to increase in price. And so what's interesting is when Justin Fields got traded after I drafted him in the 4th, 5th round of whatever, who wants to specify details about the live league, which by the way, I'm 3-0, about to be 4-0 in the live league.
Hey.
Hopefully I won this week. He dropped to QB 29. QB 30, as low as QB 30 in the summer. And I told people on a video, I said, you know what? With Justin Fields, he's a rushing upside quarterback. You know he's going to flash at some point. So why don't you just hold, wait till he goes off or does something of note, and then you can sell him a little bit higher. And people said, oh, that's the sunk cost fallacy. You're just holding on to a sunk cost. So here's the thing about sunk costs, guys. Sunk costs, the word sunk means it goes down and it stays down. And so with Fields, interestingly enough, he's now the quarterback 21. He's gained 35% of his value back. Oh.
From really, if we're being honest, really one game.
He really hasn't done much.
Against the Colts defense. That is the upside, and that is the promise of having a rushing upside QB. Once Anthony Richardson comes back and he drops another 30 bomb, he's going to go right back up to where he was previously ranked.
Exactly.
Right back up.
If not right back up to the first, second round, he's going to go up higher than this.
Yeah.
And so you have to hold. If you can ever get out on Anthony Richardson for like a premier dynasty asset, we're just going to go ahead and
probably go for it.
Yeah, you do it. Right now, I don't think you can, so you just have to hold. But man, rough start for him.
It's been a rough start for Travis Etienne as well. I think Etienne, man, it's been such a roller coaster with him. He's had a decent floor, honestly, for the first 3 games of the season, 11, 14, 12 points in PPR formats. Gets a couple touchdowns as well. Obviously, he was a high-end running back one last year, finishes the RB3 overall in a terrible, terrible year for RBs. It's going to be a lot better this year for running backs in totality. And Travis Etienne is going to take a hit from that, right? And because he was incredibly inefficient, he has been this year as well, not as much receiving upside as we had hoped, and honestly, Tank Bigsby has gotten a decent amount of work as well. Now he's got the shoulder injury. He's lost a significant amount of value, and this was kind of my concern going into this season. If you weren't a heavy contender, and even if you were a contender, I just thought there were better priced running backs. He was more valuable than Saquon Barkley going into this season. Like, what the frick were we doing, guys? Saquon was a screaming value at price with his 3-year, $13 million contract in one of the best fantasy-friendly offenses in the NFL, and Travis Etienne, we already knew was going to regress. And he's just not as good of a running back, straight up. He's just not. So first of all, try to tell you. Second of all, with Etienne, what are you doing? Because I'm tempted to say hold.
If you can get a first for him, I sell. Any first.
Yeah, do you think it's possible at price right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's valued.
You think it still is? If you can get a first,
You're
100%, go ahead and capitalize on that opportunity. The reason is he's in the 4th year of his career, and the way the Jacksonville Jaguars are headed right now with an 0-4 start,
pay running back.
They are not paying a running back, especially not him, because they haven't won with him.
Yeah,
he hasn't been one of the reasons that they've been super effective, right? So, to me, I'm envisioning a very DeAndre Swift-esque career trajectory where he has a couple spikes here and there, never really gets to the ceiling that we expected. And from a value perspective, you probably just want to get out now because he's likely going to sign like a 1-year deal
the other thing
in free agency.
You have a really good class of running backs coming in that's immediately going to jump him.
It's
all of them.
Every single one of them.
Every single one of them is going to. So, like, I still think his price is like, yeah, are you going to be losing a little bit of value? Maybe, but you're going to lose even more value if you hold long term on Travis Etienne. And so, Rashee Rice, brutal, man. Nathan and I mean, how many Rashee Rice shares do you have in Dynasty?
Not too many. Not too many because
it's good. He
was a great
He's
guy
gonna
to
be more
own.
valuable
He's
after
even
his
better
injury.
to own. He's going to be cheaper than he was before the fast car stuff, and you finally got to see what he was capable of doing with Patrick Mahomes.
So I have quite a few. He's one of my most rostered players in Dynasty leagues because I was buying him everywhere. We told you to buy him on this channel. I hope you did. And then obviously now you're looking at that and you're like, yeah, I bought him. Look where that got me. Well, here's the thing about Rashee Rice is he's going to be a buy. Mm-hmm. You're going to be able to buy Rashee Rice again. Because you know when he's on the field, you know what he's going to do. Yep. When's the last time we saw a receiver It was Tyreek Hill, but even Tyreek Hill is a different type of receiver. Getting that many targets in that offense consistently.
Guys, Rashee Rice was so much more versatile than we ever gave him credit for. That
Correct.
includes Avery and I, right? I mean, we did an entire statistical breakdown of how the targets were going to spread out among all of those assets in that offense, and we admitted on here that like Rashee Rice came out on top, no matter how conservative we were with the numbers or aggressive. Rashee Rice always ended up being the most productive receiver in that offense, even more than Travis Kelce. Just because his floor was so high, we never accounted for what his ceiling could be.
Correct.
Really, ever. We gave him credit for his yak ability. It still blew us out of the water this year. And I mean, like at the catch point, he's like juking guys out before he really even has the ball. Like it's kind of ridiculous.
He is very talented.
He's incredibly athletic, way more than I thought that he was.
Now you're going to have some compounding things here, because the bright side of owning Rashee Rice going into this year was that you could have a year of production from him before you get the suspension. Now you have the ACL and you have the suspension. But is that really a bad thing? Because if he just tore his ACL,
I'll just take him at a discount again.
If he just tore his ACL, he's probably going to miss the next 3 games anyways. Like, I mean, look, you're talking about maybe between the two things missing half a year. But Rashee Rice, again, is what, 20? Is he 24 now? 23, 24? He's 24 and a half.
Yeah.
It's a little bit on the older side for a guy that has only been in the league 2 years. But you're going to be able to buy him really cheap. People are going to panic sell. Contenders are going to panic sell on him, and you're going to buy at that point. So Rashee Rice, I think he's a good buy.
Mm-hmm. I also think Garrett Wilson is... Oh, I was going to say a good buy. What is Garrett Wilson's price right now? Because Garrett Wilson's price, again, what is it exactly? Falling down to like the beginning of the third.
Yes.
Because he has not been doing what we expected him to, and his upside is not even, he hasn't done it, period. He hasn't done what we've expected him to do once he's finally gotten a quarterback. Are we being impatient 4 weeks into the season? Again, you guys asked for Dynasty videos way too early. So we're trying to be a little bit like we're walking on our tiptoes here and we're being careful. Because Garrett Wilson has shown in the past what his ceiling is from a target volume perspective. I still think that is absolutely possible with Aaron Rodgers. It absolutely is. I know Aaron Rodgers plays favorites and he loves his Allen Lazard. Okay? Garrett Wilson, let's be honest. His ceiling might not be what we thought it was. That's okay. At price, if he's going in the beginning of the third round right now and you can get him at a discount because a lot of people are freaking out about him at the moment, I don't think he's the best buy in Dynasty. I think he's a pretty good buy in Dynasty. I really do. I think that this is a situation that can end up being built really for him. I think you're going to continue to see him get better. If you've learned anything historically from Aaron Rodgers and his receivers, you see them flash in the first couple years of their experience with him, and then they just get more and more and more and more usage. Garrett Wilson has 2 years in the back of his pocket. He has the first 3 games in the back of his pocket with Aaron Rodgers, and he's going to continue to get more and more trust, and the target opportunity, the volume is there, right? So I think that this is a pretty easy one. Again, not the most exciting one, because I will be honest, it's been really, really disappointing seeing him not produce the way that we thought he could.
But he's getting 8.5 targets a game. So the opportunity is there, and the talent is there. And most of the time when you got opportunity and talent, the production will come.
It will.
So,
it will.
Last guy here, Sam Laporta. And hopefully, we're recording this on Monday, so hopefully Monday night, Sam Laporta, he has a 20-point game. We don't have to talk about this anymore, right? That's what I'm hoping happens.
Right.
Let's just assume that happens. So with Sam Laporta, I guess we have to assume he doesn't, because then otherwise we wouldn't have anything to talk about. If Sam Laporta does lay another egg this week, coming into a week where he was injured last week, but he is going to play against the Seahawks tonight. If he lays an egg, I think Sam Laporta is a hold. With tight ends, when you're looking at tight end value data from like the last 5 years, tight ends, they will fluctuate a little bit, but they actually maintain their value, and their value elasticity is a little bit lower than the other positions, even quarterback and wide receiver. They just don't fluctuate as much. And so it's been a disappointing start to the year for Sam Laporta. But he's still somebody you can hold for the next 3 years, and probably he's going to maintain around the same amount of value. So I think he's a hold.
Yeah, and I will say, we kind of jumped the gun a little bit on Sam Laporta. I think the entire offseason, obviously he was without a question the tight end one, but we never really analyzed it that deep or anything, because there weren't many guys competing with him. Trey McBride was the one that was the closest, and I think we should have talked about it more, because when you were looking at their production and how it compared in 2023, again, we just didn't touch on it enough. We mentioned mentioned it here and there, but it wasn't enough for us to really, go out there and say that like, hey, this is something you want to monitor. But Trey McBride with over 100 targets, 106 targets in 2023. He didn't even play with Kyler Murray until the second half of the season, and most of his targets, most of that volume came with Kyler Murray. And you've got Laporta, who had more targets in 2023, but the same amount of yardage in a way better offense over the entire course of a season, rather than McBride really counting half a season, getting the same amount of receiving opportunity. And he had 10 touchdowns. 10 touchdowns. The red zone usage was really impressive for Sam Laporta. I think with the amount of mouths that they have to feed offensively, I mean, Amon-Ra has taken a hit already in a couple of these games.
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery doing their thing, splitting carries, and Jahmyr Gibbs getting outproduced by Monty. Jameson Williams, right, who we infamously crap on consistently, has actually looked pretty dang solid, and something that we didn't see coming. Sam Laporta has just straight up taken the hit.
Yeah.
So it's become overcrowded.
So there you go. There's a buy, sell, hold for all of the top guys in Dynasty who have really disappointed this year. Hopefully this was helpful to you, and definitely one thing that we've learned, even as we've done this now for, this is really our second year of like full Dynasty stuff, is there really is no need to overreact after 4 weeks. And we would only be telling you to sell guys like Bijan. If you sell Bijan for Amon-Ra St. Brown, say Bijan does end up popping off and he jumps up and he's a top 6 Dynasty pick. Well, you've got Amon-Ra, he's a top 10 Dynasty. Like, you didn't really lose anything.
You're
so
not
we're really only
low.
telling you to panic, or not to sell if you're not panic selling, and if you're getting decent value. And Travis Etienne is the only other guy on this list, like, and Richardson to some extent. But Etienne, we're really only telling you to sell him because we feel like you're not going to lose out on a ton of value. You learn as you continue to do things, but I think one thing we'd pass on to you guys is just be a little bit patient and be cautious with how you're moving your players. Don't panic. Don't panic. Make sure you drop a like on this video. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you head to flockfantasy.com/domain. Use code domain, choose a Motherflocker tier. You get a blueprint for free. You can also get team blueprints, all a card on the site. So like I said, flockfantasy.com/domain. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you later.